Hello and welcome to today's episode on the Youth Arena. We trust you've been enjoying the episodes so far and you've been learning a lot all the same. We are particularly passionate about helping you grow in your leadership influence, especially in the series we've been handling on how to grow your leadership influence. And we trust you've been learning a lot. Today we're going to pick up from where we left the last time. We started talking about the importance of understanding as a tool to helping us grow our leadership influence. We've also talked about a number of other tools like listening and the rest. We've talked about barriers to listening and all of that. You could check out our previous episodes and I'm sure you will not regret it. So today we're going to be zeroing in on how to become a person of understanding. One thing we are committed to do in this program and in these episodes is to not just give you theories, but to also hand over practicals on how to go about these things. We're going to make our own suggestions from a little research here and there, trusting that when you dig in deeper and go for further learnings and all of that, you'll be able to understand better and you'll be able to get more practical tips. But we wouldn't just leave you hanging. We'll give you practical tips, maybe 1, maybe 2, maybe 3, maybe 5, but we'll get you started on the path of how to achieve these things. So today we're going to be zeroing in on how to become a person of understanding. Now, in our journey of becoming persons of understanding, there are a number of things we're going to take note. So before we zero in practically, I want you to take note of some of these things. You must learn to understand people. And because we're dealing with people, there are a few things I would like you to understand about people, which when you commit to memory, it will enhance your understanding people when you come in contact with them. Number one of such knowledge is that you must understand that everybody wants to be somebody. Everybody wants to be somebody. You may not understand totally what I'm talking about, but just be patient, flow with me, and towards the end of this episode, everything will become clearer, I believe. Okay? So everybody wants to become somebody, including you listening to me. You want to become relevant. You seek significance. You want to be relevant in your environment, in your lifetime, and all of that. There isn't a person in the world who doesn't have the desire to become someone. Everybody wants to be significant, and even the least ambitious and the least unassuming person wants to be regarded highly. Now, it may seem like they don't act it. It may seem like they don't talk about it. The people you have in your environment or in your leadership circle who might be very reserved and all of that, who might not be outspoken, deep down within them, they want to be recognized. Everybody wants to do something that they will be recognized for. I remember while growing up, I've always wanted to be a speaker. I've always wanted to be a preacher. And I remember those days in the house, growing up with my younger brother and all of that, I would bring my mom's wrapper, put it on my shoulder and be preaching. He will be my audience, and then I'll be the one preaching. And then growing up a little bit, having better understanding about the scriptures and the Lord Jesus and all of that, I could stay inside my room and envision speaking to a multitude of persons and impacting their lives. And sometimes the beauty from all these things is not that people are celebrating you, is that you are touching the lives of people. Celebration is merely an outflow of an impact made. So if you want to be celebrated, you don't command it, you impact people, and it naturally flows from you. But first and foremost, you must make up your mind to impact. So everybody wants to be celebrated. Everybody wants to be somebody. Now, everybody wants to be regarded and valued by others. And once this piece of information becomes a part of your everyday thinking, you will gain incredible insight into why people do the things they do. Maybe people might be going about it the wrong way, but this could be one of their motivation for doing the things they are doing. It might be one of their motivation and all of that. So you must understand this information so that when people are doing the things they are doing, you can understand with them. And if you recall back to the last episode, the previous episode, I made mention of something. I said, even if what they are doing is not the right thing, your duty to them is to first of all understand them. When you understand them and they know that you understand their position, they are better able and are open enough to listen to what you have to say so that you can positively counsel them or impact their lives. So when you understand that everybody wants to be somebody, it's going to help you in the way you deal with them, and it's going to help you understand why they do the things they do. Okay? Now, if you treat every person you meet as though he or she were the most important person in the world, you will communicate to the person that they mean somebody to you. Remember, it's a fundamental need and a very foundational tool to influencing the lives of people around you is to meet their needs. And I'm delivering to you, I'm handing over to you now, one of the needs of every average person. It could be as little as greeting them. Good morning, sir. You know, there are people who think that if the person is not on Abuja or the person is not white, bearded and all of that, I mean, come on. Even if probably the person is, you are older than the person, you are like, why should I greet the person, sir? Why should I ask sir? You are the person troubling yourself. As you know, greeting the person with a sir or a ma attached to it does not reduce you, neither does it increase you. And that's aside. Sometimes when we greet people like this, it might seem like nothing, but people could actually draw value from these things. It might seem like nothing, but it could go a long way. Maybe as little as helping somebody, pick up something that fell to the ground, or standing up from your seat so that the person can sit down. One kind gesture or the other could communicate a whole lot. Remember also in the previous episodes, I've been making reference here and there to non-verbal communications. You might not necessarily have to say it, but you can communicate a whole lot by not saying anything at all. Okay? So we must learn to treat people as though they are the most important people in the world. When you treat them like that, it doesn't show us necessarily how important they are. It doesn't show us who they are. It shows us who you are. So when you treat people right, you are showing us who you are and not necessarily how the other person is. Treat people the way you would like to be treated. Showcase the value you have, or the values you've built up over time and all of that, and we'll see you for that, we'll respect you for that, even if it's not now, certainly in times to come. Okay, number 2 things you must know about people is that nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. Probably you've been hearing these statements over time, growing up and all of that. It's a fact. Your knowledge is to you what they are knowing they are cared for is to them. So you are knowledgeable. That's fine, that's beautiful, but that's for you. What people want to know and what people want to see is the product of your knowledge. If you say you know so much, show it by caring for us. So they respect you for what you know because of what they've seen flowing from you. That might be a lot to take in. You might need to, listen to this over and over for you to be able to get it. But people do not care how much you know unless you show them how much you care. You must learn as a leader to love people. If you are in the people business, in the human capacity building business, you must learn to have genuine love for people. Of course, loving people is traced back to loving yourself, and loving yourself is traced back to understanding how much Jesus loves you. So if you don't know how much God loves you and has loved you in Christ Jesus, you wouldn't be able to love yourself. And when you don't love yourself, you won't be able to love others. Most people who exhume hate to others around them is not necessarily because the people they are hating or pouring out hate on is worth hating. They are simply expressing who they are. So we must learn this principle in life, that what you give to others is not a function of the fact that the people you are giving it to deserve it. It speaks a whole lot or much more about who you are more than who the people are. You must learn this thing. So we treat people right because we are right, because we understand the value of treating people right. It goes a long way to communicating who we are and not necessarily who the other person is. Okay? So it's very important. You must learn as a leader to love people. When you love them, you are able to lead them. Leadership is not selfish. Leadership is selfless. So if you don't love people, you will be leading selfishly. Meanwhile, you are meant to lead selflessly. Okay, so love people. And I already gave you a remedy to that. If you're finding it difficult to love people, trace it back. How much do you love yourself? If you don't love yourself, you can't love others. And you can't love yourself without understanding how much Jesus loves you. That's where it starts. The love of the Father expressed to us in the person of Jesus is the foundation of every genuine and unconditional love, even for you as a leader. Okay? Now, the moment people know you care for them and you care about them, the way they feel about you changes. They are opened up to receiving whatever comes from your end. They are opened up to whatever counsel you have to bring. They are opened up to whatever influence you have to bring. They are opened up to whatever suggestions you have to bring and all of that. Just let them know you care for them. Let them know you care for them. Okay? Now, showing others that you care isn't always easy. I'll explain why I said that. Because your greatest and fondest memories will come because of people, but you will also experience difficulties. you will experience hurts, you will experience tragedies, and it's still as a result of these same people. We are not in an isolated world. We live in a world where we have people around us. We are going to be happy, courtesy of people. We are going to be hurt, courtesy of people. But no matter what happens, we don't stop loving people. Remember, I said not too long ago that our care for people, our love for people is a sign of who we are and not necessarily a proof that the person you are caring for is careworthy. It's not a proof about who the other person is. It goes a long way to tell us who you are. It goes a long way to tell us who you are. Okay? So we care for them irrespective of whatever. Our happiness, our difficulties at the same time will come from people. I wrote here, I said, people are your greatest assets, and at the same time, people are your greatest liabilities. You must understand these things. They are your greatest assets and they are your greatest liabilities. And our challenge as a leader is to keep loving the unlovable, is to keep caring about people no matter what. Don't stop. Don't stop. Now, I'm going to take you through a number of things I wrote down here, and maybe it will make you understand it better. I said people are illogical, reasonable, and self-centered. But irrespective of all these, their attributes, our responsibility to them is to love them anyways. We love them anyways. Now, I'm saying these things building on the foundation that when we love and care and show people, the beauty of what's being good is, okay, we are showing them who we are and not necessarily treating them according to their standards or rather according to what they've merited. It's not according to merit, it's according to who we are. We are simply being who we are. So whether they are illogical, whether they are, selfish, whether they are self-centered or unreasonable, we love them anyway. We love them, okay? Say if you do good, now people can be very, very wonderful. If you do good to people, there's a probability that they will accuse you for being selfish. You are treating them right, you are doing something good for these guys, but they feel you are selfish and you have ulterior motives. In such situations, what do you do? What do you do? Keep being good anyways. Keep being good anyways. Now, another scenario. Now, if you are successful, the chances that you will win false friends and true enemies are high. Because when you are successful, some people will be happy for you, some people will not be happy for you, some people want to come close to you because of what they can benefit from you, and some people will come out outrightly to let you know that they are not happy with your success. In such situations, what do? Go ahead and succeed anyways. Just succeed. Keep succeeding. Failure is not an option. Another scenario. Now, the good you do today can perhaps be forgotten tomorrow. If that's the case, what should you do today? Go ahead and do good anyways. You don't stop. One more thing. Now, honesty and frankness, of course, you maybe even if you don't know, I'm telling you now, it makes you vulnerable. When you are honest to people, when you are frank with them, you can be put in a space of vulnerability, okay? Now, in that space where people are likely to take your frankness and your goodness for granted, what do? You don't change. Why? Because it's the right thing to do. You are doing it because it's the right thing to do, okay? Now, the biggest man with the biggest ideas can be shut down by the smallest man with the smallest ideas. In such situation, what do? Keep thinking big. Now, why am I saying all these things? I'm saying all these things so that I'll be able to say this. I said people can be all they want to be. They can manifest all shades of negative stuffs towards you, but you don't stop loving them. You don't stop caring for them. You don't stop. Why? Because you are showing them who you are and not necessarily as a result of, you are not necessarily giving them back or paying them back their own coin. So be good. Care for people, because people don't care how much you know unless they know how much you care. Now, I wrote here, I said to care for others and become a person of influence, you must keep sharing, keep giving, keep turning the other cheek and all of that. Keep doing the right things. Why? Because it is the right thing to do. Whether profit is coming in from it or no profit is coming in from it, do the right things because it is the right thing to do. Now, besides, of course, your acts of care, your acts of kindness and all of that, you never can tell the extent it can go in changing the people around you. It can change people. It's a risk every leader must take in caring for people, in loving people. But like I will always say, I choose to believe that the rewards, the positive rewards far outweigh the negative consequences that come from believing in people. There might be cases here and there where people, retaliate or return evil for good, but it doesn't cancel the fact that people still respond positively when we care for them. So we don't stop. We don't stop. We won't stop until our goodness overshadows their negativities. That should be what our concern should be. Okay? Now, we're going to be going on a very short break. When we come back, we'll continue from where we stopped. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. You're welcome back. Trust you've been enjoying the program so far. We've been talking about what you need to know about people and what you must commit to heart, in order to understand them better. We've talked about a number of things. We've talked about the fact that everybody wants to be somebody, and we've talked about the fact also that people do not care how much you know until they know how much you care. Now, the next thing you must know is that everybody needs somebody. Everybody needs somebody. Now, there is no such thing as a self-made man. That's a fallacy. There's no such thing as a self-made man. You succeeded simply because the people were instruments to your success. People are instruments to your success. You didn't succeed alone. Okay? Now, everybody needs friendship, everybody needs encouragement, and everybody needs help. And we are who we are as a result of friendship, encouragement, and help, or the absence of it. You are where you are because some people encouraged you, some people, helped you and all of that to be here. And you wouldn't be here if they didn't do that. There are some others who are in situations that mere putting together of encouragement, the right friends and the right help, they will become better than they are already. So you are not self-made. You are a product of a combination of efforts, and people are part of what made you who you are today. Okay? Now, we accomplish much more when working with others than when working alone. Of course, one shall chase 1,000 and two shall chase 10,000. That's very profound. So it's calling out the power of teamwork, the power of the fact that you can't do it alone. You don't succeed alone. You need people. Now, it's something you must understand, that everybody needs somebody. So no matter how much somebody is trying to show independence, that person needs. In fact, the more independent people portray themselves to be, the more they need somebody. The more they need somebody, okay? Now, people who try to do everything alone often get themselves into trouble. Why? Because everybody needs somebody to come along and help. Never fall into that space where you think you don't need anybody. And when you see people who feel they don't need anybody, come on, you have a chance to actually help them. Maybe they don't know they need somebody. You as a leader should know that this person needs somebody, this person needs help, okay? Now, the next thing you must know about people is that everybody can be somebody when somebody understands and believes in them. I'm a product of people believing in me. I won't deny that. Sometimes it could be funny, but your parents telling you, I know you'll be great one day, I believe in you, you go to school, you get, very nonsense results and all of that. They will not be happy with you, but it wouldn't stop them from giving you food in the night. Sometimes they threaten us that if you come back with a very bad result, there's no Christmas clothes for you and all of that. In fact, as they are telling you, they've already bought your Christmas clothes. They've already bought it. And it wouldn't stop them from loving you, from encouraging you, from laughing with you and all of that. Somebody can be changed just by your merely believing in the person and understanding the person. Now, once you understand people and believe in them, they can really become somebody. Little things done deliberately at the right time can make a big difference. Now, I want to ask you a question. I wrote it down here. I said, when was the last time you went out of your way to make people feel special as if they were somebody? You should really think about that and start working towards making people around you feel special. And funny enough, it doesn't take much to make people feel special. Thank God for the assurances, that our celebrities give themselves these days, that can cost millions of dollars and all of that. Good and fine. If that's your capacity and your level, by all means, with all pleasure, execute it. But it doesn't necessarily have to be that big. Maybe a little necklace, maybe an exercise book, maybe helping somebody out, cover for a shift or something, or verbally, verbally telling somebody how good he is, complimenting somebody. It could go a long way. Really think about that and recall if you've ever made, the last time you made somebody feel special, and if not, work towards making that happen. Now, the investment required on your part is totally overshadowed by the impact it makes on them. Now, another way to actually help people by understanding them and believing in them is to find out what they need and help them. I wrote it down here. I said, finding out what people want and helping them both motivates and impacts on them, and it creates enabling grounds for you to positively influence their lives. Okay? Now, the next thing you must understand about people is that anybody who helps somebody influences a lot of other people. No matter how introverted you are, no matter how extroverted you are, you have a number of persons around you who directly or indirectly you impact. So if I'm able to make you smile, if I'm able to get you off the anger mood, probably I've saved some other person on one end who doesn't even know what happened to you, the stress of you having to transfer your anger on the person. It's a chain reaction. So when you understand somebody, when you influence somebody's lives, you are not just influencing the person, you are influencing most probably generations. You are influencing most probably generations. I heard the story of how Billy Graham, when he got born again, he was the only person who answered the altar call that fateful day. And the rest is history. He changed the world. He ministered Christ to the world. Just one man. Just one man. He was changed and his generation was changed. Never underestimate how far impact can spread. Never underestimate how far your influence, positive influence on somebody can spread. And as much as positive influence spreads, so also is negative influence. That's why we must be very careful as leaders how we impact the people around us. Okay? Now, in the end, the ability to understand people lies in your past. It's your choice to make. And I urge you to make that choice to understand people. Now, while it's true rather that some people are born with great instincts that enable them understand how others feel, some others who are not in that space can improve. Everyone can improve on their understanding abilities. There are people who are naturally gifted. You know, I may not be able to explain how they do it, but it seems like it comes in handy for them. They can understand, they can read situations, they can read facial expressions and all of that. But whether you are in that space or not, you can improve on your level of understanding. Now, how do we improve our understanding? How do we become better persons in understanding? I'll give you 3 tips and we'll round it off. Number 1, you must learn to possess the other person's perspective. You must learn to possess the other person's perspective. Very, very important. Remember, in the last episode, I gave us an instance. If we are standing opposite to ourselves and we write a very big 6 on the ground, I am seeing 6 from my own end. You are seeing 9 from your own end. So if you must understand me, you must learn to come around and see what I'm seeing. If you see what I'm seeing, you will understand me better. Most of the things that blow up as arguments and quarrels and fights and all of that is mere misunderstanding. Most times, the 2 people who are arguing about a case are right. You are right. Perhaps we get a plank. One side is colored black, the other side is colored white. From my own end, I'm seeing black, and I'm hitting my head on the wall, trying to make you understand that this is black. It's black in color, and you on your own end saying, if I hear now white, it is white. So you are saying it is white. I am saying it is black. We are quarreling, but both of us are right because of what we see. So we must learn to see things from the other person's perspective. Very, very important. Especially in issues, whether marital issues, whether relationships, in our personal dealings with people, in our leadership, portfolios and all of that. When somebody is making a suggestion or saying something, remove yourself from the picture. Everything is not about you. See it from the angle the person is saying it. Let the person validate the person in the sense that you understand what he's saying, and then you are better able to contribute. I understand what you are saying. I see it from your own perspective, but this is the loophole here. This is the loophole here. See it from my own perspective. By the time that's the case, understanding sets in, and success and productivity is the end game. Okay? Now, the next thing you must understand if you must become a better person at listening is that you must possess personal empathy. Personal empathy. I read a story in the course of preparing for this particular episode. I read a story from one of the books I used of a preacher who was coming back from a preaching engagement, and then one of his parishioners met him and was like, the pastor was asking the parishioner, how are things at home and all of that. He said, fine, that, a very heavy wind came and blew up his house and all of that. The preacher looked at him and said, I've been warning you about how you've been living. Now see, the judgment of God is coming on you for your sins. The parishioner said, pastor, the wind also blew up your own house. So what the pastor now said is, the ways of God are mysterious. It's funny, but when it has to do with you, then you can find a logical explanation for it. But when it has to do with another person, you have a way of painting it in the person's face that, it's your fault. No, we must learn to be empathetic. And part of being empathetic, is it flows from the first point, learning to see things from the other person's perspective. Sympathize with people. Even if you have counseling to do, sometimes the people you are heaping condemnation on have already condemned themselves. They don't need you to condemn them further. They need you to help them out of the situation. We must learn to sympathize. We must learn to be empathetic. It's something you should really learn, especially for most people who preach and all of that. Sometimes people who are coming to you for counseling as pastors, looking for a way out of fornication, looking for a way out of, all manner of lifestyles, the lifestyles are not justifiable. But first of all, understand that most people who want to come out of something don't know how. Like, they don't know how to come out of it. So sympathize with them. You are not endorsing the lifestyle, but you are not, ruling out the fact that this is a person, he has feelings, and most probably these things has been giving him wahala, giving him trouble. The most deadly torture anyone can have is emotional torture. And most people experience it on a regular basis. So we must learn, and do whatever it will take to possess personal empathy. Now, the next point you must take into consideration, something you must possess, is that you must possess a positive attitude about people. You must possess a positive attitude about people. Very, very important. I wrote down here, I said, people generally see what they look for and hear what they listen to. What they listen for, rather. You hear what you listen for, and you see what you are looking for. When you are looking out for the bad things in people, the wrong things they did, you will eventually see why. Because nobody is perfect, including you, who is looking out for all the faults. I don't know, sometimes you see people behave as though they are specially employed, as professional fault finders. They will never see anything good in what you did except the faults. Somebody did an analysis some time ago, brought a plain paper, and then marked a very small dot on the whole of the white clothes or something, and showed it to the crowd and was like, what do you see? Guess what everybody was saying they were seeing? Nobody said they saw the whole white space. What they were seeing is a dot or a stain on the clothes. That's how we behave as human beings. Most times we discover that we are more inclined to fishing out faults. But as a leader who wants to improve his leadership influence, especially in the aspect of understanding others, you must develop or cultivate a positive attitude about people. Okay? Now, if you have a positive attitude about people, believing the best of them, and acting on the fact that you believe the best about them, you can impact their lives, and it all starts from the way you think about others. Okay? By way of rounding up, let me just give you a few things on how to get an idea on how people think and all of that. Now, for instance, you see somebody, when a particular person takes a long time in getting something done, from your own end, the person is slow. But if you are the person who is in the same shoe, say, no, I'm not slow. I'm taking my time. I'm trying to be thorough. If another person, doesn't get something done, from your own end, he's lazy. But if you are the person who is there, you will say, I couldn't get it done because I'm busy. He didn't get it done. You didn't get it done. The excuse is not valid, no matter what it is. You must learn to cultivate a positive attitude about people. Sometimes, I catch myself making excuses for people in situations, not until I get the fact of what the situation is, they are justified for whatever they did. You wouldn't, and sometimes when you hear what stopped people from doing certain things, you are shocked and you are ashamed of yourself for thinking whatever it was you thought, why they didn't do what they did. You must learn to see the best of people, learn to think of them positively and all of that, okay? Finally, as I round up, your attitude towards people is one of the most important choices you will ever make. And if your thinking is positive, your attitude will be positive and your impact will be positive. I'll take that again. When your thinking is positive, your attitude towards people will be positive and your impact automatically will be positive. That tells you that there's a negative side to all of these things. Choose to be on the positive side and you wouldn't regret it. Till I come your way next time, I remain KC Eze. Thank you very much for watching and see you next time.